podcasting from the sunny state of California where Hollywood and superstars shine. Hey, you're listening to Perfectly Normal. This is a podcast where I talk about love, courage, and connection. I'm your host, Michelle Quay. I'm a confidence coach who loves helping people to bring out their personal magic without the imposter syndrome. I'm also the founder of Elevate Life Coaching. It's a coaching and seminar company. Welcome to the show. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode. Today, let's talk about something I've been noticed a lot of time. And I hang around on Facebook a lot. So those of you who are interested and you are on Facebook, be sure to come and join me in my Facebook page. No, not Facebook page, Facebook group. It's called the Confidence Lounge by Michelle. And you can find me there, have conversation with me. I hang out in that group a lot. And we just actually finished a 5-day spotlight challenge, which I am thrilled because a lot of our participants were able to go on live and talk about their struggles, their stories. And I was talking to one of the participants, Jocelyn, the other day, and then I actually invited her to come to have an interview with me in May. So you can expect to see that coming up. I'm super proud of her. She went from not being able to do any live videos. She hangs around on Instagram, and that's where we connected. And then she wasn't doing a whole lot of live video, even though she's like great speaker. She speaks so fluently and so well. So I was really surprised that she wasn't doing any live videos or she wasn't doing any video. But going through that whole 5-day challenge, I can see how much she has grown. And she went from not doing any live to actually doing like 5 days of live videos in the group. So super proud of her, giving her a shout out. All right. So today we're going to talk about conversation, how to make your conversation flow. This is something that I observed from the just hanging around in different coach community, entrepreneur community. I see a lot of people having that struggle of when you get that dream client, when you attract that soulmate client, I call them soulmate clients right now. If you attract that soulmate client and there you are, you want to get on the call with them and you want to close that sale, right? There's a whole idea and whole purpose of reaching out to them and inviting them to come and have a conversation with you. There's a reason behind it. You're probably using this as a marketing strategy so that you can have that brand awareness and you can also close your sale, and whatever that service that you're offering, you want to let them purchase it. So you got them to be in a conversation with you, but here are some of the struggles. You got them to be in a conversation with you, but when you got onto the call and you gave them all the detail, your package, things to be aware of, the refund policy and all that stuff, you went through all the pros and cons with them in their life, what would be the benefit for signing up with me and what would be the con, what is the cost for staying where you are. You did all that. Everything that they taught you in the class, in the coaching program, you've done all that. And then they're fully engaged in the beginning. They're like super wanted to sign up with you because they're so impressed with your work. And there you are, you got them to talk to you in a conversation, but suddenly something happened and you just couldn't close that sale. Last month, I was talking to a photographer. Actually, she has a photography business, and she was on the community, and she was asking, what is wrong? Because I just raised my price, and before I raised the price, everything went so smoothly, and now that I went up on the price, no one seemed to. I wasn't able to close any sale at all. So does that mean that my pricing is too high? And then, upon like investigation, I was engaging her in the private chat, and she was doing really well in, before she raised her price. And when she raised her price, there's that price tag that's associated with what is it that she's offering. So I asked her whether or not she believed that her price is really a reflection of the work that she do. And she truly believes it. She believes that her work is worth that value. And so the question comes, how are you not able to close the sale? What changed, right? What changed between you raised the price to what the price was before? And this is where a lot of people are struggling, especially when it comes to pricing. They tend to under value their service or undervalue themselves, and so they believe that the client didn't buy from me is because my price is too high. So what do they do first? They lower their price. They lower their price so much that you end up picking up so many clients just to make up the number, because otherwise you won't be able to make that same revenue, right? So if you're charging someone $60 per session, per coaching session, versus someone who charged $200 for a session, then you would have to pick up 4 more clients in order to meet that $200 per session. And look at what other people are doing. They are charging $200 per session and they're really successful. And look at their calendar. Their calendar probably looks a lot cleaner than you do. So you're sitting there and feeling overwhelmed because you're underpricing your values. And the whole reason behind that is you don't have that flow in the conversation. So that's one of the struggles that I see a lot of time, especially with entrepreneur, is that they associate the failure of not having a conversation flow, or at the end of the sales call, they have that fear of, oh, I'm not a salesperson. I don't want to sell this to that person. I'm here to help. Yeah, exactly. You're here to help. So help. And when you think about, oh, I'm not a salesperson, immediately your energy changed during that conversation, and chances are you are not in the flow. All right, so we're going to fix that today. So that's one of the struggle that I'm seeing that a lot of entrepreneurs experiencing, women entrepreneur, particularly because we are phenomenal in doing negative self-talk. The moment that something happened, we think about, oh, what is wrong with us? And that has to do with, we're human. We want to feel appreciated. We want to feel love. And when that is not happening, we associate it with our own failure. And we think that there's something we're not doing, something is not right. So it's us, right? It's never them. Well, partly is because you're that energy that you carry into your conversation, which makes it not flowing very well. And again, we're going to fix that today. All right. So the second struggle that I commonly seen is sometimes I have a lot of coach clients and coach friends, and we're talking about in a coaching session. So in a coaching session, those of you who are coach, you probably experience this sometime in your coaching practice. Maybe it's early on. Maybe you're still experiencing, which I know I am still experiencing sometimes, when you walk into the session and suddenly you're trying to remember, what was that question I need to ask next? Even though you have tons of empowering question in your textbook, in your that you downloaded from me. Right now, if you go to michellequay.kajabi.com//empowering questions, you can actually download 100 empowering questions directly from me. So, or you can just actually go easier, go to elevatelifecoaching.org/download, and you'll be able to download 100 empowering questions. Now, the problem with that is that your session is not fixed. Like, everyone is different, right? So coaching is not one package fits all. And so you can't ask the same question to every situation. And there's no way that you can possibly remember all these coaching questions and think about at the same time, like, which one is the right question to ask. So you really are relying on your intuition to tell you exactly where is this conversation leading you to. So you can't prepare yourself with all these textbook questions and hoping that one of those questions would just be like, this is an analogy I love to use right now. It's like throwing spaghetti on the wall, and hopefully one of these questions will stick with the clients, right? So that's another struggle that I see a lot of newer coach who's in the practice they are experiencing. That how do I make the conversation flow better? All right. So some of the facts. The fact is, if you are experiencing these two, chances are that you have some type of agenda inside of you that you're trying to meet. So the first agenda would be something like your goal is to get out of your 9 to 5 job so that you can be full-time coaching and really work your passion and live your life like all these other coaches who's making 7 and 8 figures every single day or every single year, right? You see all these tagline flying everywhere. So you're hoping that that would be you and that would be the life that you are creating, living your passion and making shitload of money, which is perfectly normal, right? This podcast is about perfectly normal, but we're also talking about connections. So the connection is lacking because of you having that agenda. I want to quit my 9 to 5 job. And that's a legit agenda because you're probably feeling burned out. And I know the whole reason why I went into coaching probably is because I want to quit that 9 to 5 job. And the coaching is something that I wake up to, and it's like the air that I breathe in. This is the area where I shine. So of course, it makes perfect sense why I will want to quit that 9 to 5 job and just do this full time. So that would be your agenda. Your agenda is to quit your other full time job. And when you have that agenda, chances are you're going to bring into that session, into that conversation, into that moment where, you're trying to really working really hard because you don't have any clients right now, maybe, and you're really trying hard to have signed up this client so that you can actually feel, I can do this. And it's just that feeling of relief that I can do this, that's really what is stuck behind or hidden behind that conversation. And this is where that you perhaps not letting it go of your agenda because you want to meet that. Now, the second agenda you might have is that maybe you want to get this client to sign up. You don't have a lot of clients, as we talked about, and there's so instead of talking to qualifying lead, you're talking to everybody. And I actually created a post yesterday. I wrote a post yesterday on my Facebook, a couple of days ago, actually. I was talking about how, a lot of us, when we first start out, we somehow we have that mind of, everybody needs a coach. And that is a fact. Everybody can use a coach. But does everyone need you? Chances are no, right? So you are only serving a specific population that who can resonate with you. So there are 1.8 billion people on this planet right now. And if everybody needs a coach, you can coach 1.8 billion. You can only coach a specific population out of that 1.8 billion. So when you talk, you're not talking to the 1.8 billion. You're talking to a specific group of people. Like for me, I'm talking to the woman entrepreneur. Why? Because you probably have a very busy life. You have your full-time work, you have your full-time family time. And then on top of it, you're actually thinking that you need to get out of your 9 to 5, you need to start your own business. And I think the pandemic actually awakened a lot of women who were thinking about having business. And now that you are actually finally thinking that, well, this is the right time because I just got laid off or I just got retired from my previous work. I need some type of safety net so that should this happen again, I have something to fall back on, right? Or you want to enjoy that freedom of autonomy. You want to be able to make decisions on your own. You don't like clocking in and out in a really corporate setting or a company setting. So that is who I'm speaking to. So I'm not talking to 1.8 billion people. So when you have that agenda of, I want to talk to everybody, I want to help everybody, I want to, and my coaching is really for everyone. You end up spending a lot of time picking up the leads that doesn't energetically match to what you're looking for. And this is a true story. So when I first started out, I had signed up this client, and he was a gentleman, and he was experiencing a lot of that lower catabolic or negative energy. And then every time during the session, the first time it was all about, how the work, his job is not fulfilling, and he doesn't feel he has a purpose. And oftentimes he finds himself procrastinating. He's not doing anything, even on the weekend. He knows that doing fitness is really good for him, but he doesn't do it because he just feel tired, exhausted. So most of the time, he would just waste that weekend. Or sometimes he would walk into the session and he would feel angry. And I remember specifically, it was kind of like my last straw. And I refunded him the whole entire money because it was not a good match for me. And the reason was one of the sessions, he walked in, and then there was a lot of anger energy, and you could sense it because prior to the session he was already exhibiting that anger. So he would send email or text that has a lot of negative wording or anger wording. So the way that the session went on, it was just not very inspiring. It's not lifting, and I felt stuck with him. And I picked up. So I'm a big empath, and I picked up a lot of that negativity. So by the time I finished that session, I was exhausted. I felt like I did the whole session for the whole entire day. It was exhausting. And then so I was talking to a girlfriend of mine, and then I said, this is not my client. This is not who I want to work with. It was challenging for me to get him to see the different perspective. Because he was so trapped in that catabolic, that negativity energy, and he was not willing to shift at all. So I had a lot of trouble doing that. And I'm sure there's coaches, amazing coaches out there who work with this particular group, work with this type of energy, and they have no problem moving him. But for me, it was not a good client for me because I felt drained. And so from that point on, I decided I am going to attract the clients that who are energetically matching with me. And I want them, so I had this picture of my ideal client sitting in the session, and where they are a little much higher energy profile. Those of you who have done energy leadership index assessment with me, you probably hear this term over and over, that energetic profile. So each one of us have this energetic profile where you are responding and reacting to situation in a very different way. And there's 7 different way of how you react or respond to everyday stimulus. Right. So the first level would be 1 and 2, which I talked about, the catabolic energy. And then moving on would be the level 3 through 7, which is considered a little more anabolic. And the word anabolic just means that there's releases these hormones, and when these anabolic hormones is released, you tend to be feeling more satisfied, happier, and more fulfilled and purposeful. But when you are in the lower catabolic energy, that is the energy where you start releasing that fight and flight hormones, and you start fighting, you start being defeated. And that is not the energy level I want to work with, for sure. Typically, my client come to me and they already done their groundwork. They already done that personal development. They already know, what it feels like, that life actually has a bigger picture and bigger meaning. So typically my client would start off their default energy, like the immediate energy that they go to is that compromise, that tolerance, and they start taking responsibility. So anyone who is a level 3 and up, those are my type of clients. And so when I wasn't clear about the clients that I want to work with, I noticed that I was working with everyone. And I know a lot of coaches, when they don't have a lot of clients, so what they do is they're undercharging. They are they don't really believe in their pricing is not a reflection of the value that they're giving. They're over delivering, but they're undercharging. So chances are you're not taking on any qualified lead when you do that. And so you take everybody. And you need to take everybody because in order to keep up the number in your bank, you would have to make up your number. So you take up more clients just because you need to meet that number. All right. So the other factor that comes into play when and it shows in how it becomes a block when you're having a conversation is there's that inner sense of lack of confidence because a lot of us that lack of confidence is really associated with how successful we are from our experience. So if you're someone who associate your success of your coaching session to the number of years of experience, then you're probably starting up. A lot of times you refer yourself by, oh, I'm still very new here, and or I'm the new coach. And people are not helping you, are they? A lot of time they start. I see people posting in the community and on Facebook. They start out by saying, "Hello, new coaches," and it kind of just reminds you, "Yeah, I'm new, right? I'm new at this." But the truth is, you are not new at what you do right now. If you think about it, if you are in your 30 or 35 or 40s, some of my coach friends are actually in the upper age group, they're 40s, then chances are you've been doing this all 40 years of your life. You've been using all these skills 40 years of your life so that you reach to some point where you know that this is something that you can help others to achieve and to do. So the fact that you have 40 years of experience and suddenly you enroll yourself into a coaching program and here you are, you're starting day one in your coaching program, but you believe that you are new. I mean, what's up with that? You've been doing all this for the last 40 years, right? So the only difference is someone just gave you some name and a name for the tools that you didn't have the language to use before. So the only difference is someone gave you the language of how you would describe what you've been doing. That's the only difference. So then you are not new at this. So I hate it. It just drives me nuts when people start out their questions or their pitch by saying, "Hey, new coaches, can you just remove that new?" So because I don't need you to remind me how inexperienced I am right now. So yeah, we associate oftentimes our success of the coaching session to the years of experience, and that lead to lack of confidence. Now, that lack of confidence, that it's not the same as the self confidence. I can't stress enough that there's a difference, right? So the confidence is something that you experience, something that you had success in the past, and now here you are. You believe that you can do it again. You have some kind of evidence to prove it that you are capable of doing this. Whereas your self confidence, where does self confidence comes in? Self confidence comes in when there's that inner sense of knowing or trust that you can do things regardless of what the outcome is, regardless of what the challenge is ahead of you, regardless of what situation you're in. You just walk in and you know that there's there's a way to figure things out. There's always ways to figure things out. There's a book called Everything is Figurable, right? I can't remember the author, but it's a great book. Everything is figurable and you can figure things out. So that speaks to the inner sense of self-confidence because you don't need to rely on any evidence or any proof that you can do things and you can do things well. So, and this is the part where I can help because we're not talking about getting you more experience. We're talking about having that trust that even though this may be a whole new experience that you're going into, I want you to know and I want you to remember that you have all the skills and talents that you need that you picked up for the last 40 years and here you are. You can do it. You can use it. And we just need to remember to where to find it and where to go get it, right? And sometimes it has to do with removing those negativity, negative self doubt, and that negative self talk that we have going on in our mind. A lot of time that stops us from recognizing all the talents and gift and that personal magic that we have within us. All right. So the question for you is: are you holding an agenda in your hand right now? Which of the three agenda are you holding? One is to quit your full-time job. The second one is that you need to sign up this client because your bank tell you so. And the third one is that you are associating your success to the number of time you fail. So which of these agenda fits your scenario? And why is it important to talk about these agenda? Well, you if you walk into a session, walk into a conversation with a goal of that you want to meet, then chances are you're doing what you need to do in order to impress, in order to attract, and in order to achieve what you want. And we all know that when we are in a conversation, whether it's a coaching relationship or in our social relationship or our intimate relationship, when you want to achieve what you want, chances are you're driving the conversation in the direction that you want. You feel that it's appropriate. So you're actually shifting gears from letting the client reflect to you versus you are actually telling the client what to do. So you have that driving force that you're pulling the clients to go in the direction that you want. And so agenda is kind of like setting up an expectation of what needs to happen next in order for something else to happen. When things are falling out of your expectations, it's quite perfectly normal to equate that failure to the way that we are being. So the idea of and the art of letting go, especially when it comes to a conversation and being in the flow of conversation, is not to have that agenda, because that agenda of not being good enough, as a result of not being in the flow, can actually trigger and spiral down to a lot of different way in the way that you behave. Maybe you're not posting as much, maybe you're not talking to people as much. There's that inconsistency in the way that you show up in your business. So how do you fix this, right? So let's talk about how you fix it. So the way that you fix it is very simply let go of your agenda. Now, that's easy say than done. This is a comment I got the other day. It's easy say than done. Well, so it takes practice. I'm not saying that this is a quick fix. You can't just listen to it in the podcast episode or reading a blog and expecting that it's a fix overnight. It takes practice, just like the way that you would tell your client, a lot of things that's not going to happen overnight. You gotta practice it every single day, keep track of your progress, and recognize that, there are some times where you are going to feel worse. You're going to feel shitty, but hey, you're moving one step closer to where you want it to be. All right. So the key is to let go of your agenda. And you got to remember the only agenda you need is whoever is in front of you right now. Whoever is talking to you, she is your agenda. She is the person who's going to tell you exactly what you need to say next. So you're this reflected mirror sitting in front of this person, and the best conversation and the good flow of the conversation will happen when you listen through the ears of your heart and not through the ears of your body. All right. So what question do you need to ask in order to shift their perspectives? Well, she's going to tell you that because she is she is actually leading the direction of your conversation. Where does it go? Right. So I want you to kind of imagine that yourself, you're driving in the car, and there she is. She's sitting in the passenger seat and she's talking to you as you're steering behind the wheel, and you're steering on this journey with her. And so you're going where she wants you to go. right? She was going to give you the direction in terms of where she wants to go. But you're still behind the steering wheel because you have control of where we get there and how we get there. She may say, well, let's go to I don't know, Walmart. Let's go to Walmart, and you know exactly which path can get you there faster. But she doesn't know that. She's just sitting there. She just tell you that, oh, I want to go to Walmart. But you have this path for her that's going to get her there faster and safer. But she would be telling you, like, yeah, last time I went on this route, this happened and that happened. So instead of going to going under her path, right? You are just kind of sitting there and suggesting that, hey, I have this other route. I don't know how you feel about that's traveling here. So you're listening to what she's telling you, but you're still behind that wheel, and you get to decide what is it that she needs to hear in order for her to get there faster and safer. So letting go of the judgment that you have about yourself is really important, because you may be really caught up with the conversation that she's telling you, like, hey, let's go here. This is beautiful. There's a lot of scenery around here. Let's do the scenic route, versus you probably want her to take the faster route, cutting through the city, and there you are. You can get her there faster. So when you do that, when you just wanted to, let's just cut through that scenery route and let's just go there faster, you're not speaking to what she needs. And you also have to keep in mind that you're not speaking to this person just so that you are pleasing her, right? You're not there to speak to offend this person either. You're simply just being there as an observer, observing and watching how this conversation is going to unfold. She's going to tell you what happened on that long route, that long scenery route. Maybe she got distracted. Maybe she decided to take a detour somewhere. So it's your job as an observer, letting her know that this is what she has done before, and now a second route that she can get there faster. Ask her if she would like to go there faster. She may not. She may still enjoy that scenery route. So give her that opportunity to actually take that scenery route. But the truth is, you don't have an agenda in front of you, and you're not shifting into any direction that she doesn't want to go. So that's an example of how you make that flow, right? So you have this underlying agenda. When you let that go, you're kind of just being there as an observer, and you're just watching what's going on, and you can reflect it to this person who hired you to do exactly that. So one of the exercises I would suggest to practice, and that will help you to shift the energy during a conversation, whether it's with your soulmate client or just within your relationship. Every time you notice that you're being caught up in an expectation or an agenda, here are some of the steps that you can do. So the first one is to detach yourself from your bodily experience the moment that you feel that conversation is not going well. Because chances are, whatever is happening in your mind, there's other things that's also happening in your body. Maybe you start getting hot flashes. I know one of the things I get really nervous in a conversation, when I feel that I can't be present, then my body start changes, and usually my body temperature will rise. So start detach yourself from the body experience for a moment, and just recognize the physiological change in your body in that moment. And then the second step is to observe what is happening just now in your mind, right? Because your emotion, your mind is really connected to how your body is behaving. So in order to change the way that we're behaving, we're focusing on what's going on in our mind. And when you focus on what's going on in your mind, I want you to start paying attention to what comes up for you. And what were you saying is just silently in your mind during that conversation? Well, what were you telling yourself right now? And just kind of observe, your overall response, reaction, your thoughts in that moment. It could be very brief. I know initially when I was doing this, I'm like, oh, I can't believe I just said that to myself, right? And you start to come back to your conversation. So step number 3 is to keep track of what's happening. Get really familiar with the way that it happens, because what that would do is it's going to allow you to come up with a strategy that you can tackle it the next time it happens. And the 4th step is really just finding a way to tackle it the next time that it happens. Some of the ways that people are finding helpful would be something like meditation. You can either meditate before you start the session, or sometimes I like to do a silent moment. Like I would just breathe second. I would just give myself that moment of, okay, this is what I'm doing. I got this, right? So there's that silent moment of meditation, just sitting there. You can also have a mantra. You can have a silent mantra that you just repeat in your head, being in the present moment. And there you go. You snap yourself back and keep yourself in grounded. Other methods include rubber band. So I wear one of those hair tie. It's not too tight, but I wear one of those hair ties during the session. And if I ever find myself, being out and not being present in the conversation, or the conversation is not flowing well, I would kind of snap myself out of it, like literally snap myself out of it. Or perhaps there's a quote that you love and that you can stick it somewhere you can see during your session, and that you can kind of just glance over during the session when you notice that your flow is not going well. And it would be kind of like a reminder to coming back to where you are and knowing that you don't have an agenda. Your only agenda is helping this person in front of you. All right. The last exercise is to remember your true why. This is what it means is that we all have a why we became a coach or we started this entrepreneur journey. There's that initial why, and sometimes it's not undeniable that we want to enjoy the financial freedom in doing what we love to do. But that wasn't the real why that got you to start on this entrepreneur journey, is it? You were inspired because you must have some type of life experience that led you to feeling overwhelmed, anxiety, stress, depression, or there's some type of drama in your life that inspired you to become who you are today. So remembering your true why is going to help you to release that underlying judgment of holding on to the agenda of I need to sign up this client in order to get that 7 to 8 digit figure. So there's that underlying expectation that we're setting ourselves. We forget that the whole reason why we started this in the first place, it's not because of the money. It's because we had that loving tendency to help others. And we know that we can do this because we have done it ourselves. All right. So your why is to lead. Your true why is to lead by example. And the financial freedom is it's something that comes to you when you are living from a more soulful place in your heart. So in other words, those of you who knows the law of attraction is that you don't make money. Money kind of just attracts to those who are living in a place of abundance. Money comes to you. So that is the flow of the money. So if you allow when your money is not flowing so well, chances are it's going to show up in your conversation where it's not flowing so well. Think about that for a minute. Every time you walk into a conversation, getting more clients, right? The moment that you have that idea of, I want to get more clients, chances are your conversation is not flowing well. All right. So just to wrap up, we talked about some of the struggles that people are facing right now, in terms of closing and not having that conversation flow, especially when you're doing a sales call. The reason being, maybe because they don't want to buy, or you kind of don't remember exactly what question to ask next. So these are some of the common struggle that I see, especially nowadays that there's a lot of coaches, and even the coach friend that I have, they're expressing this whole phenomenon of how do you make your conversation flow better? What question do I need to ask? And which is why I put out that 100 empowering questions, just to help everyone, to have an idea of what to ask next. And by the way, you can download it at elevatelifecoaching.org/download. You can grab your copy there. And the reason why we can't be in a conversation flow is oftentimes it has to do with the underlying agendas that we have. So what are some of the three agenda? We talked about three agendas that you may have. Number one is you want to quit your full-time job. Number two is, you know that you need to sign up this client in order to meet that number. So sometimes you even undersell yourself or undercharge yourself. And then the last one is the lack of confidence or the lack of self-confidence that you believe that you can do this. And we talked about 5 exercises that you can start practicing in order to get you shift your own energy and be in the present moment in that conversation to make your conversation flow. So the 5 steps are detach yourself from your body experience. And number 2 is to observe what is happening in your mind. What's the internal dialogue that you are experiencing. And number 3 is to keep track of when this happened so that you have a better way of managing it the next time you show up. So number 4 is finding a way to manage it, right? What works for you? Is it a mantra? Is it meditation? Is it a rubber band to snap yourself out of it? And your next step would be to really remembering your true why. There's a reason why you do what you do. And that reason is to, maybe you're like me, spread love, courage, and connection, and building that connection. So if that is your true why, let that be your agenda when you have a conversation. Let that be your underlying fundamental values and principles that you have bring into a conversation, instead of having that agenda of, I need to do something in order for something else to happen. So letting go of the expectation of what you want in the conversation to look like and what you want the conversation to result in will get you to be in a conversation much easier. And when you start letting go of the need to drive that conversation of how you hope it would be, you begin to experience that conversation flow. So hopefully this episode had helped you, and maybe in your next conversation with your clients, with your spouse, or with someone within your friend circle, try that and see what comes up for you. See if it's more, you can stay more present, more focused, and be more productive. And if you like to give me some feedbacks or let me know how it goes, be sure to find me in my Facebook group, The Confidence Lounge by Michelle. I love to see you in there. All right. I will see you next week. Bye, everyone. Hey, thanks for listening. In order for this conversation to continue, I would like to invite you to join my private Facebook group, The Confidence Lounge by Michelle. This is where we can continue this conversation to live a life with authenticity, bravery, and connection while supporting each other in moving forward in life. If you found value in this show, I would appreciate if you can give me a rating on iTunes or Spotify, or simply share this show with a friend who can light up the fire from hearing it. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. If you'd like to learn more about my coaching service or invite me to speak, please visit my website at elevatelifecoaching.org or send me an email. See you on the next show.